Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 2021 Teresa Student DATATHON Challenge. Um, just a few housekeeping rules quickly before we start. Um, I would like you to, if possible, just rename yourself to include whether you're a student or a mentor, and then also just the university where you are from. So if you click on your name and you click on the More button, there's the option to rename yourself and then just rename saying if you're a student and a mentor, right? And again, a very warm welcome to you this morning to the 2021 Teresa Data Challenge, the DATATHON. And the purpose of the DATATHON is for you to work with open data to come up with some of the latest challenges and innovations and creative ideas to address some of South Africans' most pertinent problems. I think over the past 2 years, we've seen quite a lot of, problems arising because of COVID, um, the unemployment rate and so forth. So I think there's quite a lot of challenges and, a lot of things that we might have not even thought about. But with data and open research data being available these days, I think we can do quite a lot with it. So you will be competing with fellow local institutions and to see who comes up with the best solution. Right, so today we will obviously have a welcoming address by Dr. Happy Sithole, and then a keynote address, and then also address by Dr. Daniel Smith. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Happy Sithole, who is the Center Manager for the South African Cyber Infrastructure System, the CI, NICIS, and he was responsible for this since 2019. He's also responsible for the coordination of the system so that it meets the demands of the South African National System of Innovation in support of the Department of Science and Innovation. This involves three main entities of cyber infrastructure. This is the Center for High Performance Computing, the CHPC, the South African National Research Network, SUMREN, and then the Data Intensive Initiative of the Data Intensive Initiative of South Africa, DERISA. Right, so Dr. Sithole, we will welcome you. We will open up the floor now for your welcome address. I'll hand over to you. Thank you, Dr. Sithole.
Thank you very much, Isaac, and good morning, colleagues. Welcome to the DATATHON Challenge, and I would like to share with you just a few words on why we go to this initiative. So, as Isaac has already indicated, my role is to oversee the national integrated cyber infrastructure in South Africa. So the national integrated cyber infrastructure is basically composed of the Center for High Performance Computing that is looking after the high performance computing infrastructure for the country. So these are large scale processing capability in the country. We also have got the South African National Research Network, which its responsibility is to provide connectivity for the country. So this provides high-speed bandwidth connectivity for all research institutions in the country. This will be mainly our universities, the science councils, mainly everybody who does research has got access to this network. And the third most component of these entities that form the National Integrated Cyber Infrastructure is the Data Intensive Research Initiative of South Africa. In short, we call it DERISA. DERISA is the host today because its duty is looking at when we have got the data in the country, how can we be able to utilize this data effectively? So for that to happen, we need to have access to the data. So it is the main responsibility of DERISA to make sure that we get access to the data And when you get access to the data, the other thing is that you can have it there, but if you don't have the right skills to use that data, then that data won't be useful to anyone. Hence, the challenge of the DATATHON becomes so important for the country, because its aim is to develop the skills that will be able to look at the data once we've got the data, interrogate the data, be able to help make decisions based on this data. I take that you will agree with me that if data wasn't fashionable, immediately what you saw during the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, everyone, including my grandmother, started knowing how to interpret the data. Because surely people started looking at the trends, people started looking at the numbers, and it was all the data that helped us to make decisions, whether we are out of the woods or we are in trouble. And all the time, when our president, like yesterday, he talked to us. He talked to us based on the information about the data. So it's just one example that I'm talking about. But in our day-to-day work, data becomes so important. So as we can see that one has to make these critical decisions in the data. For these decisions to be accurate, the data has to be accurate also. So the quality of the data is very important. And that is the work of the research to ensure that we collect the data is accurate, and also we have got the right skills for us to be able to interrogate this data. So over and above what we are doing in a DATATHON, in the National Integrated Cyber Infrastructure, we are looking at the overall skills development country, because we believe if we have got the right skills for the cyber infrastructure, we can be able to help make decisions using data and everything else. So some of the other programs that we are looking at, for an example, is the Student Cluster Challenge. The Student Cluster Challenge is a program that helps the students be able to build infrastructure. So the infrastructure in this case will be high-speed processing and also being able to have access to algorithms. So students build clusters of supercomputers, the smaller ones. They design, they build, and they operate. So this is very important, because as much as we have got the data, you will need the infrastructure. So we build these skills to make sure that we can be able to have personnel in the country that can be able to operate this infrastructure, use whatever information like data on top of that. And I guess you will also agree with me that once we have got the data now is a competitive product. And one of the things that we need to worry about is how do we protect the data. So with that also, we have got another program that is run under the National Integrated Cyber Infrastructure, and it is called Cybersecurity Challenge. I guess over the years and weeks past, especially now during the pandemic, because the working environment started changing, we have seen a prevalence of organizations being held to ransom for their data. So if you don't protect the data, then you are vulnerable. So this part of the cybersecurity challenge is looking at helping and building students be able to understand how to identify vulnerabilities, so they will be able to know what are the sort of ways that people will be able to intrude or penetrate through your organizations and take advantage of any loopholes that are there. So collectively, all these are very important skills that we believe we have to build the skills in the country. And hence, the DATATHON challenge that the students that I saw coming from our universities here in the country have to engage in. And we believe that those are the skills that they have to start building. In the past years, I have looked at what the students are doing. And program director, I assure you, once you sit with them and understand what sort of challenges they're going through, what are the sort of things that they want to try and understand with the data, I was really intrigued. And I've sort of sat there and thought, I wish I was a young boy again and get these opportunities. So you are really fortunate as students and participants to have these opportunities, to be able to get access to the data, to get the type of support that you are getting. And we want to congratulate you, first for taking the step and being part of this program. And this could not be possible. And I would like to really thank the colleagues from DIRISA, Nobubele Shozi and her team, for putting together this program. It takes a lot of effort in organizing. So colleagues, this is a very important thing, and I would like to encourage you to keep on helping the students. And also the mentors of the teams from the universities. I'd like to really encourage you to keep on supporting the students and giving them support, because it is the right thing to do. It's a good investment that we can do as a country by making sure that we give these young colleagues of ours important tools that will take them through in life. Students, I can say, you are at the right place. You have made the right decisions. And I would like to wish you well and make sure that all what you have planned, work very hard. I know that wherever you are, one thing that I've seen when we have got these competitions on the floor of our conference, we run out of coffee. So I know how much time you spend on this. So get up, work very hard. And I would like to come to the sponsors. You know, one of the things to keep people motivated, it is, of course, you need to see what is right at the end there. I have looked at the prices, and I can assure you, program director, that was one of the things when I looked at them last night that I really wanted to participate. Very good presents or prizes that will be on. So these are very good motivators. So thanks to the sponsors, in particular IBM South Africa, for giving this opportunity, giving us the support. And we want to say, stay with us, always provide this sponsorship, and also encourage your other colleagues in the ICT industry that this is a good program to support. And of course, our Department of Science and Innovation, represented here by Dr. Daniel Adams, because if it wasn't for this from the department, we wouldn't get this support. And we'd like to say to the department, through you, Dr. Adams, that we really appreciate the support, and also not just providing financial support, but being there, being able to share with us on this vision. So on that note, colleagues, I want to wish you well in this program. And as you know, this is just part of the broader program of the National Integrated Cyber Infrastructure. On the 1st of December, we will be starting with our annual conference, which will be the 15th in the series of these conferences, which will be starting on the 1st and going on until the 3rd. And I would like to encourage you to attend to this conference, which is theme this year is in the cloud applications and the use of the clouds in unprecedented times. You will see that there is a lot of talk about infrastructure, how the clouds have been used, how people have changed because of the changing in the dynamics in the world, having gone into the cloud. What are the various technologies that are taking place there? So you will surely be able to find very interesting conversations there. I would encourage you to be with us on this. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sithole. And I think what's so reassuring is that we have bodies on national level, like yourself, that take pride and interest in the importance of the data of this country, and also driving the innovation and the challenges, and also promoting it, not just on such a national level, but bringing it down to universities and institutions, and to expose young learning students to the challenges that the country faces, and also making people aware of the infrastructure that is available for them to use in this challenge. Right, thank you so much, Dr. Sithole. Right, we're moving over to our keynote address, and this is a very, very inspirational entrepreneur, businesswoman, and I'm going to introduce Nolubuya Kadu, and she is an award-winning technology professional. She's the founder of Code Ngwana, an organization that is focused on teaching kids on how to code, and the main objective is to help the African child to go digital through teaching computational thinking and coding to kids. She has 12 years experience in the IT industry, fulfilling various IT functions and roles within various organizations. But I think most notable as well that I need to mention about Nolu is she was also named one of the Mail and Guardian 200 Young South Africans of 2021, which is quite an accomplishment. The young list of individuals considers to be the most influential 200 young South Africans of the year. So that is a very, very prominent thing to be named for. And she's also an Inspiring 50 winner for 2019, which is an award given to top 50 inspiring women in STEM in South Africa. So without further ado, Nolu, if you are online, I'm going to hand over to you. Thank you so much, and we look forward to your keynote address.
Thank you so much, Program Director. Is my line clear?
It's clear. Can hear you and see you.
Cool. I just need to share my screen shortly.
Can see as well.
Okay, good. Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful sunny day in Johannesburg, and I'm excited to be part of this DATATHON this week. Data really powers everything we do. This was centered by Dr. Sithole. Thank you for creating this opportunity to the DRISA team and for inviting the students. What is quality education? A few years ago, if you were to ask me what is quality education, I would have given you a description of perfect buildings, great infrastructure, good teachers. That was my idea of quality education at the time. But if you were to ask me now, what is quality education? That has very much changed. I started school in a small village called Kwezana at Dikeni in the Eastern Cape. When I started school, we started in mud-hut classrooms. It was not a very well-resourced school. If you were to ask me back then if that was quality education we were getting at the school, I would have given you a straight no and said it wasn't quality education. In as much as the school was under-resourced, we had one of the best teachers in the world. And if I reflect on that foundation, I say to myself that was quality education, irrespective of the challenges and the lack of infrastructure. Sometimes quality education sounds far-fetched, it's unachievable, or it's such a big thing to do. But what is clear for me is that quality education is not a constant state. It's something that is changing. And therefore, there is an opportunity for all of us to redefine quality education if we want to solve problems within the educational space. One of the things I had to do for myself as a young girl was to redefine quality education, and I quickly realized that it was problematic for us to view education with the same lens. In my view at the time, education was when I would engage with my peers and cousins who went to Model C schools. In my view at the time, that was quality education. Quality education looks like many things. It looks like communities holding hands, kids holding hands. And we all have a role to play when it comes to education or quality education, irrespective of our age, irrespective of our background. At a young age, I contributed to quality education by sharing, for example, bread or my lunch with other peers who didn't have lunch. It was me realizing that at a very young age that one cannot study on an empty stomach. Therefore, as young as I was contributing to quality education. I have used my own experiences to say, as a student, to say, what can I do better? What would I like to change with regards to quality education? Like a butterfly, it needs to grow. It starts small, but it needs to grow. What I will share with you today is my journey of how I have contributed to quality education, and hopefully by the end of the talk, I will inspire some of you to also contribute to quality education. So the first thing that I mentioned was we need to redefine quality education. And only when we redefine what it means for us individually, only then we can start providing solutions that are important to us or start solving problems that are important to us. One of the tools that I've realized are quite important around quality education is data. And data is power. And data is power. So I will make an example of how I contributed. I was exposed to coding for the very first time at university. And I had to play catch up. And through this experience, I decided for myself that I didn't want another Black child to go through that experience of only being able to be exposed to coding at university, which then led me to start an organization that teaches kids how to code. It's deliberate at the African child, making sure that another African child doesn't go through the experience that I went through. And to me, contributing to quality education is taking our experiences, our struggles, and making sure that the next person doesn't go through those challenges again. And quality education is not only the responsibility of the government or educational institutions. We all have lived experiences, like I said. We are surrounded by problems that we can solve each day. Allow me this morning to shift your thinking and say, data is power, and with power comes great responsibility. So therefore, we are all responsible for creating the society and the contributions that we want to make when it comes to education. This is some of the work that I do with Code Ngwana in terms of teaching kids how to code. It's the little contributions that I'm making to the ICT space and education. And one of the things I mentioned is around the power of data. As I had started engaging in this work, one of the things I realized when I was doing research around how to teach kids how to code, for example, one of the things I realized that even the case studies we were using were not African-based studies to teach kids how to code. And therefore, I said to myself, how do you take a child from Edigeni in the Eastern Cape, apply the same frameworks which have been tested on a child who's based in the US, who grew up with iPads and who grew up with technology and all those things? And I said to myself, I too have a responsibility to contribute in that. That led to me writing stories of technology for kids, to say it's not enough that we're relying on external or global literature to bring this education, to bring this coding into South Africa. I started writing stories of technology for kids. And my latest publication, for example, is a coding encyclopedia, which has been translated into 2 African languages, around how we can contribute and improve education and societies. Inclusion is key. It's understanding that we need to include the unaddressed. We need to include the not included in the system, and that in how we are trying to make quality education accessible, or everyone needs to be engaged and around the table. The last thing that for me is important when it comes to achieving quality education is realizing that quality education is around collective efforts. It's many things. It's how various sectors and communities are able to hold hands. And I'm grateful for this opportunity, because for the young students who are here today, it's probably one of the very first significant opportunities to collaborate. And we can only make great strides and contribution in communities when we collaborate and use system around us. And I'm continuously inspired when I see how communities, how organizations, how companies are collaborating. One of the stories that inspire me, or that's really close to my heart, for example, is the Curry app that's powered by Nedbank, which enables schools to be cash free, because schools were becoming an easy target for criminals due to large handlings of cash. So solving problems in the educational space, challenging those who are participating in the DATATHON today, is not something that needs to be far-fetched. It's things it's problems and challenges and frustrations that we see every day. And our role is to look at those problems and challenges and say, how can I change this? How can I improve or make it different? It is a great privilege for me to be invited today to give this talk, and a great opportunity for students to learn about the benefits of open data and start finding solutions new solutions to problems. As I'm going to close, allow me to journey with you. As we approach this week, I want to take you on a journey that will put you in a different thinking or in a different mindset at the end of the week. I would like everyone in this call to close their eyes with me for a few seconds. I want you to go back to your first day at school. What do you see? How does your new classroom smell? I want you to travel from that first day of school to where you are today. Listen to the sounds around you and reflect how you feel about quality education or education, and what change would you like to make. Now slowly open your eyes with me. Think about the data you have access to and the one problem you can solve. Data is power, and with great power comes great responsibility. So today, as we are going to go on this week, I would like to challenge the students, and not only the students, even everyone who's attending this room, that every day we use data around us to look at what problems we can solve. It doesn't have to be big problems, and commit to those problems, commit to that cause, and help improve the quality of education. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nolu. That was very inspiring. And it is actually fantastic to see that besides just highlighting the disparities in terms of the education, that you're actually doing something about it. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for more people to do it. As you mentioned, it's not just always about the fancy buildings and textbook and equipment. It's about more than just that. And I think what you also highlighted is with data comes power. And I think one of the big things as well is that, especially in today's age, we've seen with the COVID pandemic, there's a lot of data out there, but it can be harmful. If you just take into account fake news and those type of things. But it's very, very inspirational. Nolu, if you're okay with it, I'd like to open the floor for just a few questions. We've got some time. So if there's anybody with questions, please just raise your hand by clicking on the reactions button and then raise hand, or either type your question for Nolu on the chat bot of the chat function. So what I'd like to do is also maybe just to open up, Nolu, is just a question that I have is some of the challenges that you have had on your journey in sort of getting this out there. What are some of the real life challenges for someone who also wants to contribute to something like this? And then I see we've got a question from Buyisile, which we'll take just now. But yeah, that's my question to you. Thank you.
I think some of the challenges is living in a society. Well, it's much better now. Back then, living in a society where we tend to operate very much in silos in South Africa. So even if you want to make a contribution, there's power in collective efforts. They say if you wanna go further, go alone. If you wanna go faster, you need to go with people. So some of the challenges is just around collaboration, and how even in the coding space and what I do for kids, we do work that's similar. There's a lot of organizations that are doing the similar thing, but we're not coming together and saying, hey, let's create our own research when it comes to coding for kids. Let's create our own African-based frameworks. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the global frameworks that are used, but we're not coming together to share experiences and grow from each other. And so those are the challenges, figuring out things on your own. Whereas if you had a team, you would probably achieve the results that you wanted much quicker.
Yeah, thank you. I think that also speaks to the collaboration, and I think more people should try and tackle it. I see that Buyisile, you've got your hand up. If you could perhaps ask your question.
Yes, thank you very much, Isaac. Nolu, just one question from my side. Where can I get your books?
Where can you get your books? You can get my books on the Code Mwana website, on my website, or you can get them through contacting me via email. Then I will facilitate and arrange to deliver the books. I'll share the website just now on the chat.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. The books are actually fascinating as one. It's also again inspiring to see it being translated, and I think it also addresses sort of we need to make it our own in this country. So thank you so much, Nolu. I don't see any other questions. Any other questions that you would like to ask? If not, you can perhaps just ask in the chat box. Nolu, thank you so much for inspiring a Keynote and also just the work that you do. I think there's a lot of people that would just like to say thank you for the work that you do. It's really inspiring to see people just not talk about the things, but also actually do it and commit to it. So we thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Right, everyone, we are going to move over now to our next speaker, who is Dr. Daniel Adams. And Dr. Adams will today be talking about Sustainable Development Goal 4 specifically, on quality education, skills development, and training opportunities. Now, Dr. Adams is a Chief Director at the Department of Basic Sciences and Infrastructure, he's responsible Chief Director for Basic Sciences and Infrastructure at the Department of Science and Innovation. Apologies, someone is not muted. All right, apologies for that. All right, so he is, let me just repeat. He's Chief Director for Basic Sciences and Infrastructure at the Department of Science and Innovation in South Africa. And in his capacity, he is responsible for A, developing programs to support and promote research that develops the basic sciences, B, ensuring the availability of and access to internationally comparable research and innovation infrastructure in order to generate new knowledge and train the next generation of researchers. Dr. Adams played a pivotal role in the development and establishment of a comprehensive national integrated cyber infrastructure, NICIS, the first South African research infrastructure roadmap, and the South African Quantum Technology Initiative, and a National Institute for Theoretical and Computational Sciences. That is quite a mouthful, Dr. Adams, but we look forward to your address. It's always very inspiring to listen to you as well. So I'll hand over to you. Thank you, Dr. Adams.
Thank you very much, Isaac, and colleagues. Good morning to everybody on the call and part of this DATATHON and this event today. Allow me to say good morning to everybody and acknowledge the keynote speaker that just completed the presentation, as well as the other university stakeholders, professors and mentors and coaches to the students present here today, and also the opportunity to be invited to this DATATHON. It's really always a pleasure and a privilege to be part of these events. But I think it's important to acknowledge, and the most important group of people around the table, being the students who've been so brave to come to the fore to make themselves available to take up the challenge of this DATATHON and this competition. And I would like to wish you all a lot of luck with this competition this past, the week that's coming up. I would like to share with you a few slides around the topic of the skills and training. Not going to the details of the SDIs per se now here, but focus on two or three events, or interventions that DSI is having on, a launch now established in training of the students in this regard. So if you allow me, I will try to share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can.
I just want to put this on.
I just want to confirm, Dr. Adams, that you put it on full screen.
Yeah, that's I just did now. Let me just see now if I go to, where's the other one now? How do I again go to this other function of, can you see my full screen?
We can't see the full screen, so I can see the list of slides.
Oh, okay. Let me just say, where's this function of duplicating? I'm just trying to find it quickly.
Right. What you can perhaps do is on that specific screen, there's an option to switch or click on display settings on the top of the bar. There's a display settings drop down.
So display setting. I don't. Can I just probably go out of the sharing here quickly? How do I go out here now?
I think perhaps if you can just press escape.
Oh yeah, let me just do this quickly. Just quick. Again, I'm out of the sharing now, right?
It's not sharing at the moment.
Okay. Okay. Can you see my? No. Can you just see now? Sorry, I am just in a. Seems to me my computer's is hanging now. Yeah. Can I just try to share again? Can you see my slides?
Nothing's coming through at the moment. It's just the video feed that's still on. Please hold, it's coming through. Yes, we can see it now. Thank you, Dr. Adams.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, you can carry on. Thank you so much.
Okay. So colleagues, is it on full screen?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Colleagues, I mean, I would just like to briefly speak about the quality education SDG 4, skills development and training as said now. I'm not going into details, but talk a little about it more, the training interventions in South Africa. How my slides are hanging. Not a good morning. Let me, it seems to me my slides are out here. Okay. Can I just 1 second, just 1 second.
That's fine as well, Adams.
My computer.
Alternatively, there's also an option to, if you press escape on the slides, it's getting too much of a hassle. So if you press escape,
Just want to go stop sharing now here, but now everything seems to be frozen on my side now. Okay. Okay, let me. No. It's got frozen now on this thing now, so I don't know what the heck is going on here.
Technology will always creep in on a Monday.
Yeah, true. Okay. Yeah, everything is just now hanging on my side now here. So, okay, here we go. Let me just can I just mute myself quickly?
That's all in order with that. Adams.
Isak, could you
Yes,
please pick
sorry.
your
Yes.
chat?
Dr. Adams, if possible, can we ask Nobubele to perhaps go now? If it will assist you. Dr. Adams, would it be in order if Nobubele continues and then you can present after her?
I think she can go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Okay. What we'll do is we'll wait for Dr. Adams. Dr. Adams, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Can Nobubele perhaps take over this session? And then
Let's go ahead. Yeah, just to sort my problems. Okay. Go
okay,
ahead. Sorry.
perfect. No problem. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Adams. Right. I'm going to hand over to Nobubele from DARISA, and she will basically tell you through the information session on the DATATHON challenge. So I'm going to hand over to you, Nobubele, just to go through the session.
Okay. Thanks, Isak. I will just share my screen. Is it visible?
I can see it, yes.
Can you see my pretty face? Because I can't see myself here.
We can see you. We can definitely see you. That familiar famous face.
Okay, no, I will stop my video, but good morning, everyone, and welcome once again. Let me just make my screen bigger. Is that visible?
Yeah, it's not full screen yet, but it's visible.
On my side, it's full screen, right? And we're all having issues.
The full screen is getting everybody this morning.
Is it full screen now?
No, it's not. Wait. Yes, it is. You can see it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, thank you, Isak. Good morning once again to everyone who has joined us this morning. My name is Nobubele Shozi, and I work at DARISA as a senior software developer and researcher, and I'm also part of the team that is responsible. So then, what the DATATHON is it's a competition that DERISA started organizing in 2019, and its purpose is to allow students to be able to use open data to create solutions. So these solutions, we want them to come up with creative and innovative solutions to some of South Africans' problems based on whatever theme is selected for the year. So the first DATATHON, we held it in 2019, and we had 9 participating universities. I will just quickly go through the list of the universities that participated. So we had Salt Lake University, Wits University, we had the University of Johannesburg, Pretoria, we had Tshwane University of Technology, University of Limpopo, of Mpumalanga, Northwest University, and we had a mixed team that was made up of 2 high school students from Letlaville and Tsakotabo High School, and then they were joined by 2 university students from Wits and Northwest University. So how those 2 high school students ended up in our program is that in 2019 as well, we had our first training that was targeted at high school students. So we took 30 students from the 2 different high schools in Mamelodi, and then we trained them, like introduced basic Python programming skills for about a week. And then after that, we chose 10 of them to participate in the DATATHON training that you guys also went through. So after they participated, the 10 participated in the DATATHON training, then we selected 2 that we felt could actually participate with the university students at the DATATHON. So then, at the end of the 2019 DATATHON challenge, we had our 3 winners that were placed. So in first place, we had the University of Johannesburg. They used mental health data and developed an application on that. Our second place was Northwest University, who used their data to better identify objects for video surveillance. And our third place went to Salt Lake University, who used medical data, I think, and data about roads to create an Uber for emergency medical service. In 2020, well, we actually held this DATATHON this year in June because we were unable to have it last year, but we're calling it the 2020 DATATHON. So in this DATATHON, we once again had 9 universities participating. So our returning universities were Wits University, University of Johannesburg, Tshwane University of Technology, University of Mpumalanga, and Northwest University. Then we had 4 universities that joined us, which was Central University of Technology, Mangosuthu University of Technology, University of Zululand, and the Vaal University of Technology. Then after this DATATHON, the 2020 DATATHON, our 3 winning teams in first place was once again the University of Johannesburg, who used a COVID-19 data to try and predict a herd immunity date. So the theme for this DATATHON was, of course, COVID-19. I forgot to share that. So the second place went to Wits, who used their data to understand the factors that impact on a community's ability to get vaccines. And then the third place went to UniZulu, who created a COVID-19 risk map for South Africa. So then for this current DATATHON, we once again have 9 teams participating. So we have returning teams, University of Johannesburg, Tshwane University, University of Mpumalanga, University of Zululand, Salt Lake University, University of Limpopo, and the Vaal University of Technology. And we are joined by 2 new universities that have not participated in the DATATHON before, and that is Rhodes University and the University of KwaZulu-Natal. So we would like to welcome all the universities that are participating in the DATATHON this year. So the theme for this DATATHON is Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is focused on quality education. I think Noluvuyo has given us a great overview into our theme, and hopefully you guys will maybe able to, start thinking about the ideas that you're going to be working on this week. So within this theme, there are several sub-themes that maybe you could think about or choose as an idea. So these were taken off the resources that we shared with you prior to the DATATHON. So some of these themes are focused on free primary and secondary education, giving equal access to education, be it primary or high school, ensuring that we have the relevant skills within this realm of quality education, eliminating discrimination in education, ensuring that we have for increased universal literacy and numeracy, increasing the supply of teachers, ensuring that there's education scholarships, and also providing proper and inclusive, safe schools to our students. So these are sort of the sub-themes that you can start thinking about, but whatever solution that you create must be within the bigger theme of quality education. In terms of the rules and regulations, in terms of what you have to deliver by the end of the week, we do not restrict you in terms of the solution that you provide. We also do not restrict you in terms of the tools that you use to get to your solution, but we do ask that your solution should adhere to the theme that we have set out. Also, I think we have mentioned this before, that you should not have any existing code. You should not be using any existing code, or you shouldn't have started on this DATATHON challenge prior to today. So all the work you need to start doing from today. You need to use open data. You can use simulated data if maybe you are having a challenge in terms of finding open data. You need to use at least 2 or more data sets, and we encourage the use of South African data where possible. So in terms of then our communication and technology stack, we have set up a Slack channel that you have all been added onto. If you don't have access to the Slack channel, you can send an email to myself or Olani, and then we can assist you with that. But the emails that were provided, we have added everyone there. We have created individual team channels, so you should be assigned to your team, and you should also have access to the hashtag Ask for Help channel. So that is the channel that you're going to use to pose questions or ask that someone join your room if you need assistance, but there will always be someone in your room. But if you feel maybe you just want to reach out to other mentors, you can use that channel. We have Zoom as well set up for your virtual rooms. So you need to be logged in to those rooms for the duration of the challenge, of course, during the working hours. Then we have GitLab and Nextcloud, which, why did I say use GitLab? Wow. So we have GitLab and Nextcloud that you can use to share your code and data. And then on the last day before your final presentation, you'd need to upload your presentation and your analysis or data, code, everything onto Nextcloud. We have already shared all those details in terms of how you get onto that Nextcloud platform. And then you have been allocated with 20 gigs of data, which was loaded yesterday. So please use that data wisely, because it will not be topped up. So just use it wisely, and it should be able to last you for the duration of the competition. So then to view the program, you can go onto our website, sdc.derisa.ac.za/program, and you will be able to see the program. So we might do updates on a daily basis. So you can just keep on checking the program. But basically every day in the morning at 8:25, we need to all meet in this room in the main room, and then we'll have a short welcoming, and then from there you can depart into your team rooms. So every morning from tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we meet first in the main room for a few minutes, and then you go into your to your team rooms for your daily stand-up. So every morning as well, you're going to have a daily stand-up where you'll tell someone from DARISA who's going to be in the room with you about what you're planning to do for the day. And then in the afternoon, you will then also meet in your team room to just tell them or give them a debrief in terms of what you have achieved for the day. So today is also going to be the same in the afternoon. Well, we won't have the daily stand-up this morning, but in the afternoon at 5 o'clock, from 5 o'clock till 5:45, we're going to have a team debrief. So each of your team is going to come into the main room and for 5 minutes tell us what is the challenge that you are going to be working on this week. So what problem have you identified, and how are you planning to work towards solving your problem? But you can check the program at this link. And yeah, we will communicate this as well when we come into your rooms. And then the award ceremony is going to be broadcast on the CHPC Conference 2020 website. So you need to log in there. You need to register first and then log in. And that is where we're going to be watching the live award ceremony on Friday. Then when it comes to your final pitching, which will be happening on Friday, you will be allocated 20 minutes, 15 minutes for presentation and 5 minutes for questions. And your team will be timed, and we will be very strict when it comes to this. And we ask that before your presentation, you need to share all your code, your slides as well. Without this, your team will not be allowed to present. So then also before the final presentation tomorrow, we're going to present to you, like give you some presentation guidelines in terms of what we expect to see on your presentation slides. So we will go through that exercise tomorrow. Another thing which I didn't add on the slides is that you will need to record your final presentation. So on Thursday, we will be having sessions where we will assist you in terms of recording your final presentation. Okay, then in terms of the judging criteria, this is what the judges are going to be looking for. They're going to be looking at the problem that you selected, how well it fits the theme. They will be looking at how relevant is the data that you have selected towards solving your problem. And if you've used multiple data sets, they'll be looking at how creative and innovative your solution is. They'll be looking at, does a solution solve a societal problem in the South African context? And then finally, they will be looking at how well you deliver your presentation, the visuals, the analysis that you conducted on your data, and how you communicate your findings, and how well you deliver your solution, your presentation. So what we expect as a solution, you need to show that you have identified a problem, a real problem. You need to show us how you've used this data to solve your problem. So how you analyzed it, what findings you found. You need to use now all this knowledge towards your solution. So your solution can be anything that you guys propose. So maybe it could be like a dashboard that you decide to build. It could be a model that you decide to build based on the data, or it could be just the interesting findings, analysis graphs, and things that you get from your data. But all teams should note that whatever they propose, it doesn't have to be like a fully implementable solution. It can just be a prototype. So the exciting part in terms of the prizes, our prizes are being sponsored by IBM. So we have cash prizes. So for the first team, we have 32,000 for the first prize team. So that will be 8,000 each to the winning team members. We have 20,000 for the second team prize. So that will be a cash prize of 5,000 Rand each. And then for the third team, we have 12,000 Rand cash prize, and that will be 3,000 Rand each for the team members. Okay, so when it comes to social media, if you're on Twitter, you can use hashtag DATATHON to share and update and talk about the DATATHON. But from me, that is it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nobubele. Wish I could compete in this. Fantastic prizes there. Up for grabs as well. So really appreciate it. All right. Thank you for that overview. And I'm sure as well that the mentors also have that information should someone have missed it. Right. I'm going to hand over back to Dr. Daniel Adams. Dr. Adams, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Would you like to share, or should I?
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna share my screen. I'll try again to see if it's working. Okay, can you see it? Okay, let me just see if okay, there we go. Sorry for that, hiccup, colleagues. So without any further, wasting our time here, is just to delve quickly into this. What I'd like to start is just to remind ourselves again about the Sustainable Development Goals. The 17 of them in total. Our focus today and for this Datathon is on SDG number 4, which speaks about the Sustainable Development Goal for quality education, and it seeks to ensure access to equitable quality education through all stages of life. Apart from the formal qualifications, SDG 4 also aims to increase the numbers of youth and adults having relevant skills for employment, decent jobs, and entrepreneurship. And you can see that this speaks into some of the challenges we're facing in South Africa around the triple challenge of job creation, poverty, and so forth. And if you look at that particular SDG 4, you will note it is subdivided into, I think, about 10 or so subdivisions. For our discussion here this morning is, I picked 4.3, which is equal access to affordable technical, vocational, and higher education. And the target there is to say that to ensure equal access to all women and men to affordable and quality technical, vocational, and tertiary education, including the university. So that's the one I picked, but I said that's about 10 or so within that SDG 4. We agree, and the keynote speaker alluded to that, and Dr. Satola as well, the data revolution and the fact that the data is power. And this slide just shows you all the publications now highlighting this data explosion and revolution that we found ourselves in talking about, that the digital data has hit the tipping point of a global priority. And these slides are or publications mainly from 2015, and you will see here they just talk about petaflops and so forth, or petabytes, and we're already in a different regime. So the question is now, what drives the data revolution? And of the things that comes to mind, the way is the open data movement, where we're saying that data, especially publicly funded data, must be open and to everybody, obviously under certain restrictions or certain embargoes that you can put on. The crowdsourcing and new ICTs for data collection, all the sensors, the mobile devices and so forth that we have are all devices for collecting data. Then the emergence of the artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things, and it advances in computing and data science now make it possible to process and analyze big data almost in real time. And this leads to giving us opportunities then to gain new insights from the data mining, and complement our traditional way of normally working with the data in terms of statistical analysis and so forth. But it gives us now a more in-depth and a nuanced way of nuancing of the data and information, and to establish things like human behavior and the experiences. And the integration of this new data with traditional methods like statistical analysis and modeling give us really a high quality of information that it's more detailed, and we can establish patterns, and it's really relevant to what we want to achieve. So when we talk about big data itself, and the whole issue of data is power, the numbers that comes to mind, and I'm pulling this from the internet, is to say by 2020, which was last year, we talk about 64.2 zettabytes of data were created. That is, an increase of 314% over 2015. That when this whole thing started surfacing about the data a revolution now. And you could see us at that time, we talk about petabytes, and now we already talk about zettabytes. So an increased demand for information, or this problem of big data and the data evolution was actually compounded by the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we believe that future pandemics will contribute to that. And a large share of this output is really the collection of data, and as I said now, through all the devices that we have now, the disposable, the cell phones, our credit cards when we do these transactions, and let alone, the huge data revolution within and the sharing of data through social media. Probably as we speak now, people are tweeting about this event now. And the data is growing because it is increasing by this devices that we have at the disposable, and it becomes this more cheaper now. And we know in South Africa, I think the cell phone penetration is almost 200%. Everybody's carrying at least two cell phones. And so there's a huge, or doubling of the data over the last decades or so, or since 1980. What are the opportunities that's been given by this big data revolution, or the data revolution and the big data that's associated with that? It gives us opportunity to really in the area of evidence-based decision making and predictive analysis, not just what we experience now here, but also predicting in what's going to happen in the future. And these new sources of data, such as satellite data, provide us with an opportunity really to make these evidence-based decisions and help us then now, coming to the point here, to really to make significant progress in addressing, but also monitoring the sustainable development goals. But the important thing now here, and coming to this presentation here and this event here today, is that for us to fully exploit these opportunities presented by the data revolution and big data, and especially in developing countries, people with the necessary skills, training in data science, data analytics, these emerging technologies such as machine learning, artificial intelligence, natural language processing are critical requirements, because we cannot exploit these opportunities unless we have the necessary skills and people being trained. This slide just shows, and is extracted from Global Pulse, part of the United Nations working groups, is to show how data science analytics can contribute to the development of these development or sustainable goals. And maybe today the students in the audience could probably take tips now here to see, what can be done within the space. And where my arrow is about the quality education one. And here it says that citizens can actually be used now and collect the data to report on the reasons why we have such a huge, dropout rate of students. A huge big data problem that we have. In terms of South Africa, I would like just to say here that we have the pandemic still with us, and with the outbreak of the pandemic last year, it truly disrupted the way we were doing things, the new normal that we're talking about. And in South Africa, we just take the disruption within the higher education system now here, and what it means now here. So this slide here, just, and again, for the students who are looking still for a project to do today now, these on this slide, it highlights actually the education in emergencies and lessons that we learned from COVID in South Africa and need to be addressed in order to efficiently and effectively maneuver ourselves through this new normal we have within the education sector. We need to have, again, there was within the education a huge effort in terms of bringing knowledge about an awareness of the pandemic and how do we respond to that. There's a need for understanding what are the best strategies to launch in order to be responsive. The complexities of the technical communications, we talk about zero rated and things like, with the assumption that the student on the other side understands these terminologies. So those are the things that need to be clarified and researched now in order to make them effective. The limitations in terms of the network connectivity and access for students to that, a huge challenge, especially the rural and remotely located students. The information technology literacy, training and readiness of online learning now. How ready? Are the South African universities to adopt this blended way of learning? A big data problem to understand it. Problems in ensuring learner engagement with the material. Again, we assume now the material is delivered successfully via the internet, but is the environment where the student sits in conducive for the student to really engage with that, given his household environment and so forth. And then the last one, the student life balance, work-life balance, and the psychological wellness of the students. Big data problems that we have to research, and with now, with big data in our hand, and with these emerging technologies, we can really address it. So these are some, of the issues that the students can probably pick up today and see how they can bring real solutions to that. And a real case, an example here is the work that was done by Nikki's and the colleagues at the CSIR, where they were instructed by our minister to do a geospatial mapping of the location of students during the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic to determine access to the internet and to supply them with the necessary resources. Big data problem, and I'm not going to go into details of that. The worrying part is this slide here, because it shows that in 2015, when there was the SDGs were formally formulated and adopted, there was a survey of the countries, a map of the countries with reported now already projects in place for the SDGs. And where the arrow is now, you see that very dark in developed countries now here. But again, in South Africa, where we sit now here, it's blank. It's still gray. And also, if you look at the bubbles here, which represent the size of the activity, again, education is a fairly a moderate one in it. So, but for me is that this opportunity in South Africa to really launch project to address the SDGs. Just to go to what we have in our country, the landscape in South Africa, Dr. Satole spoke about this. This National Integrated Cyber Infrastructure System, consisting of the Center for High Performance Computing for HPC systems, the RISA for the data, and the connectivity through Sunren, and then also the cloud services. But again, these are the infrastructures now here, but underlying to that and being underpinned by that must be a good training or human capital development program. And therefore, the NIC is not just about the infrastructure and the services, but it's also about skills development. And there are a number of programs in place. I mean, speaking about the continuous development of skills in domains to ensure efficient utilization of the infrastructure in itself and enhance output in research and development. Number of winter schools, annual schools, but in particular, and Dr. Sotole, I think this morning referred to the student cluster competition, the cyber challenge competition, and today, I mean, we sit around the table here because the DATATHON is also one of that focus on students using available data to develop tools that can assist with data exploration in industries and government, but addressing projects of societal impact. We have launched in last year the National Big Data Strategy for Research and Development. And this slide just shows that one of the key pillars or underpinnings of that strategy is to develop the next generation of research and development expertise and skills to derive knowledge from big data and advance the frontiers of big data. So apart from the other things that the strategy wants to achieve, on top of that is really to build that expertise and skill sets. Furthermore, that it's not just about the theoretical formulation of what we want to achieve with the strategy, but also putting in place particular interventions and responding to national programs and priorities, such as the government's Fourth Industrial Revolution program, which is led by the presidency. And also, I mean, what we've done is to put in place a national e-science master's program, which I will talk a little bit more later on now in this presentation. So, I mean, and that's actually my next slide is about this intervention now here around skills development within the area of big data and data science. And this is through the establishment of this National E-Science Postgraduate Teaching and Training Program, the NEPTTP, which was established in 2016-17, but officially took off in 2018. And the motivation again here is, and echoing the sentiments expressed earlier today, is the demand for data sciences, which will increase by almost 28%. That was last year. I mean, that's probably now 30% by now. The fact that and the important thing is why I would like to stress the teaching and training and the skills development is because 39% of data scientists and advanced analyst positions require masters or PhD. So it's more than just the undergraduate degrees that we currently at. And machine learning, big data, and data science skills are the most challenging to recruit for, and potentially can create the greater disruption. Because I mean, there's a scarcity in that. There's horror stories in the country that these skills have to be contracted out to overseas countries because of the lack of skills in South Africa. So huge opportunity for our students. Just a little bit, a few words on this program. It's a full cost basis. It's a nice thing, and I think Isaac, you and other colleagues have said that. Wish we could turn the clock back now to exploit these opportunities. Because this is a full cost base to cover all your tuition, all your boarding and lodging, giving you a stipend as well as an iPad, a computer, a laptop. For your studies. So a well endowed, a program. All you have to do is just to show up and work hard. It's a 2-year structured master's degree. And what's unique about this program here, and we actually envied by some of our international colleagues, because it's a 2-track program, both a master in arts in e-science and a master of science in science with the physical and sciences and engineering. It is a 2-year program, with the first year, it's coursework, which is completed at WITS. So all students will go to WITS in a real, under normal circumstances now, but still in the virtual space, they enroll at WITS as associate students, the ones outside the WITS campus. And the second year is then to do your research project at your home institution. So there's no competition for subsidy because the students register at the institutions of their choice. And this slide here shows the consortium members, about 6 universities participating in this program. To date, we have 124 students have participated in the platform in this program, with 20 up to now 27 graduations, and also with our smaller universities producing graduates in this area like Univen and Limpopo. And by the end of this year, we expect another 30 students to graduate from the program. The average intake of the program is about 30 students. And many of these students have found employment as junior lecturers, data scientists, data and business analysts, data engineers, and involvement organizations. I think I got a slide on that. The MA students find employment as data analysts again, content curators and other areas. This slide just shows that the core of a program of the stream, and then your MA and your MSc streams for this particular course, and it will really empower and equip the student for the world of work outside. And here, just again to emphasize where the students find jobs. Old Mutual, IBM, and so forth, and also within the university space. And the projects they're doing now is again not just theoretical, but again also addressing real life problems. And the one highlighted here is in this particular was on education, a theoretical model to predict undergraduate learning attrition using background, individual, and social schooling attributes. So real problems that's being addressed through that. The other one I just want to quickly mention here is the program by the DSI is the DSide program, which is a program where students or data science students innovate while they learn now. So it is an interactive training program that aims to solve, again, real life problems using multiple technical disciplines, including computer science, analytics, mathematics, modeling and statistics, and the CSR, it's funded by the DSI and implemented by the DSI. And here again, you can see in this block here, the real life problems that the students are addressing, service delivery process. How do I understand that? How do I understand service delivery at clinics, boosting access to the internet, clearing bottlenecks in the presidential hotlines? We have this hotline, how many people are actually using, what are the bottlenecks? So again, a real problem. The program has been running or is available to third and fourth year students and MSc and PhD students. They said about 50 students are allowed into the program. It's running over 3 months and during the holidays. So, you can do that during those times. And again, the type of skills that the students pick up: data science, cloud computing, 3D printing, cyber security, and so forth. And it's part of government's broader plan to equip 1 million data scientists, or train 1 million data scientists in the very near future. It's early days because up to now only 275 students have been gone through the program. This is another program that I just want to cite here, or not a program, but the institution, the National Institute for Theoretical and Computational Physics, will again cover areas, and you can see with big data as part of that in mathematics, statistics, astronomy, and so on. So if you can also become part of this institution now here and get the training in these different thematic areas. At a high level, our skills development is not just driving within the entities now, but the entities take their cue from the national strategy from the DSI. And in our white paper, and which will be implemented through the decadal plan, we talk about the future-proof education and skills. And this is the skills and the education and skills value chain been addressed in that, including skills for the 4IR and the STI for education and skill development and the role of ICT. So you can see now this is what the RISA and NICAs are doing. Is not this by their own doing now, but it's in line to support the broader national program. So to conclude then, colleagues and students, is to say that the achieving ambitions of the SDGs require action on social, environmental, and economic challenges, with a focus on inclusive participatory development that leaves no one behind. That's the focus of the SDGs, and the keynote speaker also alluded to that inclusiveness. Critical data for global, regional, and national policymaking is still lacking. Big data analytics and adoption of AI, machine learning, and natural language processes can shed light on disparities in society that were previously hidden, and unearthing those patterns that our traditional tools probably cannot give us. The challenge is that much of the data with the most potential to be used for public good is collected by the private sector, and the spatial mapping that NICIS was tasked to last year was a big challenge, because most of the data set with the private service providers, and it was difficult to get really the project off the ground. Critical skills, training, capacity, and capability development in big data and emerging technologies are necessary and required enablers to successful realization of the SDGs, in particular SDG 4. And therefore, the DSI initiated various interventions to address the skills development and the training in order to address the implementation and the successful delivery on these SDG targets. So with that, and I hope I was not too long, I would like to say thank you again for the opportunity, and good luck to all the students who will endeavor to embark on this DATATHON and address some of the real problems to help us to give effect to these SDGs. Thank you very much, Program Director. You muted, Isaac?
Apologies. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Adams. Always so nice to view your presentations and the inspiring messages that goes with it. It's just so heartwarming to see all the initiatives. And also, I think the biggest thing that you mentioned is we want to upskill South Africans and Africans to bring the skills here and to keep our data here and to keep the innovation here, and also to grow that in the country. And I think today we saw that this is not just happening in a tertiary space, but also, for younger kids as well. As you mentioned, when I was young, I used to play in a sandpit, and today children code for a living. So and I think for me, most important as well is we're sitting with so much data from so many sources in this country, but we need those tools and those skills on how to work with it and to better understand it. And also, I think more initiatives to work with private institutions and private sector collecting data. We need to make that data open. It will actually just help the country more in resolving issues, to become a little bit more transparent and use open science, open data to explore the possibilities of solutions in the country. So again, thank you very much, Dr. Adams, and thank you for the contributions that you as well make towards this endeavor.
Thank you very much, Isaac, and thank you much, colleagues.
Thank you. Right, everybody, thank you so much for your time. It is now time for you to break out to your virtual tea rooms. You should have the links for that. So you should be able to join now through this presentation. I wish you good luck for your sessions and all the best with whatever you're going to come up with. I will see you at 5 o'clock this afternoon for mini pitch sessions. So I wish you good luck, and you're more than welcome to adjourn for your virtual tea rooms. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Isaac.